Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, let me ask you a question. Are you ready to stop just mindlessly hitting record and start actually building compelling scenes? Because as a filmmaker, your job isn't just pointing a camera at the action happening in front of you. It's about constructing a reality, piece by piece. Today, we're unlocking a really fundamental secret that separates the seasoned pros from the amateurs, taking you from just getting the shot to truly mastering the entire scene. Picture this absolute nightmare scenario for a second. You've just finished filming what felt like the most amazing scene on set. The acting, spot on. Lighting, beautiful. The audio is crisp. You're feeling great. But then you sit down in a dark room to edit, and your stomach just instantly drops. You realize you only filmed it from one single camera angle. So what happens when you realize you only filmed one angle? Well, you're completely stuck. You can't cut to a character's reaction to heighten the drama. You can't hide that tiny, annoying mistake the lead actor made right in the middle of a perfect take. You have zero flexibility, and your brilliant scene is literally trapped. Okay, let's dive into this. Consider the amateur approach, the basic shoot and stop method. You're stuck on one wide shot, mistakes are painfully visible to everyone, and your editing choices are severely limited. Now compare that to a professional edit, which features dynamic cuts, multiple angles, and cleverly hidden mistakes. The difference here? It's entirely based on mindset. Professionals don't just shoot a scene, they shoot for the edit. They purposefully gather all the raw materials the editor's gonna need to actually craft that final product. So here is our game plan for today. First, we'll establish the master shot foundation. Second, we'll cover building your scene coverage. Third, we'll look at reactions, inserts, and fail-safes. And finally, we'll assemble the final scene. Let's jump into Section 1, the master shot foundation. The sheer scope of a master shot is honestly incredible. By definition, it's a wide shot, capturing the complete scene from the very beginning to the very end. It establishes the location, the actors, their movement, and the complete action. You want to think of this as your geographical anchor for the audience. It's a complete, uninterrupted version of your scene. Listen, even if you plan on using 50 different close-ups later in the editing room, securing this master shot guarantees you have a working, complete version of the scene from start to finish. It's your ultimate safety net. All right, moving on to Section 2, building your scene coverage. So the crucial point here is that coverage isn't just mindlessly hoarding extra footage. Coverage actually means purposefully recording additional camera angles after that master shot is finished. And why do we do this? To give your editor the power to change pacing, emphasize emotions, hide mistakes, and ultimately just improve the storytelling. You are literally giving yourself essential creative choices in the edit. Without good coverage, your editor's hands are totally tied. Let's look at how we build this out systematically. Generally speaking, you start wide and move closer. Step 1 is always that master shot we just talked about. Step 2 moves the camera in for medium shots and over-the-shoulder angles. Then, as the physical distance closes, the emotional intensity rises, bringing us to Step 3, getting intimate with close-ups to capture raw emotion. Finally, Step 4 fills in the gaps with detailed inserts and cutaways. Pretty much every time you film a dialogue scene, you should be moving through this exact hierarchy to make sure you're capturing all those essential shots. Let's zoom in on one of the most vital tools from that hierarchy, the over-the-shoulder shot, or the OTS. This shot is brilliant because it puts the audience right in the middle of a conversation. By framing the shot past one character's shoulder to focus on the other character who's speaking or reacting, it perfectly maintains the spatial relationship between them. It prevents us from feeling like we're just watching a stage play from the back row. Instead, you feel physically present in the dialogue, looking right over their shoulder, totally engaged. Which brings us to Section 3, reactions, inserts, and fail-safes. I absolutely love this phrase, emotion lives in reactions. Think about your favorite movies for a second. Sometimes the most important story beats aren't what a character says, but how the other character reacts to what is being said. A silent look of surprise, a subtle smile, a sudden flash of fear, or just a lingering moment of doubt. You should always be capturing reactions, even when no one is speaking in the frame. These silent moments, they are pure gold for an editor trying to build tension. And this brilliantly illustrates two more vital tools, insert shots and cutaways. They're a bit different from each other, but both are absolute lifesavers. Insert shots highlight important objects that are directly related to the action. So a tight shot of a phone notification popping up, a nervous hand twisting a wedding ring, or the text of a crucial letter. Cutaways, on the other hand, show related details in the surrounding environment, like a ticking clock on the wall, people watching in the background, or even a pet in the room. Both of these specific details make editing incredibly smooth. They let you cut away from the main action, completely hiding awkward pauses or glaring continuity issues. Okay, before you even think about packing up your gear and leaving your location, you need to run through this ultimate before you wrap checklist for pickup and safety shots. Did you get some extra close-ups? Do you have additional wild reactions from your actors? Oh, and did you record the room tone? Just the ambient silence of the space? Audio editors desperately need that one. What about some empty location shots? Professional filmmakers never leave a location without asking if they have these fail-safes. Trust me, they often save the edit when you least expect it. Let's wrap things up with Section 4, assembling the final scene. Let's see how all this builds into a finished product with a concrete example. Imagine a scene where a daughter is telling her father she just won a massive scholarship. We start with Step 1, the master shot, capturing the entire living room conversation. Then Step 2, we weave in those over-the-shoulder shots of the father and daughter, putting us right in the conversation. Step 3, we punch into emotional close-ups, so we really see the daughter's joy and the father's pride. Step 4, we throw in an insert shot of the actual scholarship letter. And Step 5, a quick cutaway to a family photo on the wall. Do you see how these seemingly separate, disparate pieces weave together? Instead of relying on one boring, static angle, we've created a highly dynamic, engaging, and deeply emotional narrative. But I have to warn you about a couple of traps that catch so many new filmmakers. A huge beginner mistake is stopping the camera the exact millisecond the dialogue ends. Don't do it. Let it roll to catch those natural silent reactions. Another massive trap is assuming the master shot alone is going to be enough to tell the story. Spoiler alert, it rarely is. Before you ever leave the set, you must constantly be asking yourself, do I actually have enough coverage to tell this story? I want to leave you with this incredibly blunt, bold, professional insight from experienced directors. You can't edit footage you never recorded. It sounds so obvious, right? But it is honestly the hardest lesson to learn when you're rushing around on set. Great coverage isn't about aimlessly hoarding footage, it's about purposefully filming everything your editor might need to craft the absolute best possible version of the story. Because at the end of the day, the editor can only work with the material you actually bring back. Which brings us to our final provocative question. So, you've shot the master. You've systematically captured the coverage, the close-ups, the inserts, and the reactions. Now that you have all these puzzle pieces, how do you actually weave those separate shots into one seamless, continuous, totally invisible reality for the audience? Well, that is where the true magic happens, and it's exactly what we're going to be exploring in our next explainer on Introduction to Editing. Until then, remember to always shoot for the edit.